All right, so yeah, like you said, my name's Travis Cox. I work down at Icon Health and Fitness in we call it the direct response department. So basically anything we sell online happens in our department. I went to Utah State, graduated in 2005. After I graduated, I went down to overstock.com and worked there for a year and a half. And that's really where I kind of got into digital marketing and the internet and learned a lot down there. Came back up here to Icon, and then at that time, Icon has always sold to like Sears and all the big box places, and the direct response department is really small. And then over the years, it's now by far the largest department, drives the most revenue. With that, they've given us tons of resources, tons of money, so we do a lot when it comes to internet marketing. And we still spend a lot on TV, but a lot of the business and everything that we do down there is based around being successful online. So we've been able to learn a lot. It's been crazy. When I was at Overstock at that time, they were pretty close competitors with Amazon, and it's been crazy. They're not nearly as big as Amazon, but it's just been crazy to watch the impact of the internet and what it does for companies. And to see how big Amazon's gotten in that time is really crazy. But I love digital marketing. I love everything there is to do about it. It's always changing. There's always new stuff to learn. Probably the best part about it, at least for me, was when I got into my professional career, it was really easy to notice that you could kind of pave your own way because a lot of the execs didn't really know anything about the internet. And we were able to teach them everything that there is to know about how to run online. So we got to pave the way and kind of do it our way and kind of show them how we did along the way. And so they kind of leave you alone. Just do your thing as long as you produce. So that's really fun. And I think as I look at you guys and you guys have grown up on computers and devices and know a lot. And so that's a huge advantage that I would take advantage of if I were you. There's still, granted, it's a little bit different than when I started when no one knew anything about the internet. It was new and everyone was just learning as they go, but there's still a lot that we don't know. And with your guys' background, I can only imagine how bright the future is if this is the direction you'd want to take. So before I get going, I want to make sure I'm speaking correctly to the right audience. So just by a raise of hands, who's like seniors, juniors in here? How many freshmen are there? One freshman? Okay, cool. And then is this mainly like marketing, account? Like what type of students are you? Like what's your degrees? What are you getting them in? Marketing? Did you say accounting? Marketing. So are we all marketer? We're all marketers in here, right? There's no accountants? All right, cool. Your economics? Okay, cool. So what is it that you guys, are you guys thinking you want to go like digital? Do you have any idea what kind of you want to do with, are you guys internet, like digital marketing? Is it something that you've?
Yeah, marketing automation is kind of what I want to get into.
Okay, cool.
I'm going into consulting.
Okay.
So kind of getting the broad view of everything so that I can help clients.
All right, cool. What about the economic? What do you guys like?
Well, I just do a lot of digital marketing stuff for work.
Okay, cool. Where do you work?
At the Small Business Development Center.
Okay, sweet. Has anyone had experience working with digital marketing? What have you done?
I designed a website so that we could sell our materials on Wayfair and Overstock and HomeDepot.com.
Oh, nice, cool. Anyone else?
I worked as a digital marketing consultant for small businesses down in Salt Lake Valley.
Okay.
Doing some content marketing, SEO,
Yeah.
and pay-per-click.
Okay, cool.
Facebook ads.
All right, good. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of touch on SEO and paid search, but for you it might be a little bit boring because it's pretty high level stuff. But just kind of how I got started at Overstock, I actually went to school to be a teacher because I wanted to be a coach and all that kind of stuff. And so I love sports and stuff, so that's what I always wanted to do. And I hated student teaching, hated it for passion. And so I kind of wasted a lot of time in college. But luckily, I was up here for a while, and I got some I got a minor and stuff in like marketing, and then I knew someone at Overstock, so I'm like, I'm just going to go down there, and I knew nothing about anything to do with business, nothing. And so I get there, and they're like, okay, you're going to work. There was like an auctions part, so it's very similar to eBay back in the day, and so it was kind of a small up and coming department, that department. And so they're like, hey, why don't you do paid search? So I'm like, all right, I'll look at paid. I didn't even know what it was. So I kind of started there, and about 6 months in, they're like, okay, you don't really have a budget anymore, so you got to figure out something else. So I totally just shifted gears, and I went SEO, and knew nothing about SEO. And this, luckily, we did a deal with a company at the time called Link Experts, and so they were back in New York, and they did a lot of link building. And this guy was new, and he got on the phone, and we had talked, and he just basically told me everything that I needed to know about SEO. And so I would just put my head down every day, and I would just start writing stuff, getting links, and all sorts of things that you did with SEO back then. And I even, for a crazy stories, I got in with the developers and said, hey, let me get in and just try to figure out how to write very basic HTML, just so I could get some, content on the site. And anyways, that kind of led to one thing to the next, and the next thing you know, like, we had rankings for designer handbags of all things. Like, at that time, like, everyone was going to eBay to buy these knockoff handbags, and so we were doing the same thing. Well, I'm like, I'm going to go after designer handbags, and sure enough, it was like we got like the second ranking on Google's first page, and everything kind of blew up, and we were getting all this traffic. And at the time, like, the main Overstock site, like, no one was doing SEO. It was all paid search and affiliate marketing, and they were like, oh, this is awesome. You're getting all this traffic for free, and da-da-da-da. And so it was a crazy story. The CEO, his name is Patrick Byrne. I don't know if you've heard of him. A very successful person. He's different, but he's really, really, really smart. So I started going to meetings with him. This is like right before I was about to leave, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, he actually loved what SEO was doing for the auction side, and so they brought a whole division on to do SEO for the store, and they do really well. But it was kind of a fun story, and I like to tell it because it's one of those things where the lesson I learned is if there's a problem, just go out of your way to try to figure it out, whatever it has to do. If you see that there's a problem, like, there's always a solution, especially with digital. There's always some kind of, answer to a problem. You just got to figure it out. And so anyways, that's kind of what I did. I did it to basically save my job, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I don't have a budget to do this, and this is going nowhere. This is a bad deal here. So anyways, got it figured out, and it was a pretty fun story. So okay, so to get started, let me find this mouse. When I do presentations, like, I don't like it, like, to be honest, like, PowerPoints I know are super boring, so I'll try to make it somewhat interactive. And if you ever have questions, just raise your hand and we can talk. Like, I just kind of be a low-key setting. So I don't want to just sit up here and talk the whole time. I'd love to answer questions. So first off, just really quick, like, it's nothing that you probably don't know, but the internet is the single most important channel for reaching people today. 50% penetration of the global population, 3.7 people it reaches. So obviously, if you're going to start a company today, you got to know the internet. I put this up there just to kind of explain this slide. So if you look at this slide right here, do you guys recognize some of these companies? So the reason why I like this, and the reason why I love the internet, is none of these brands right here, and a lot of other brands, I just threw some of the stuff that I like, but none of these brands would ever exist today without the internet. None of these are owned by, like, major companies. You look at Dollar Shave Club, I mean, they were going up against Gillette and all these companies that are multi-billion dollars worth, and they were able to succeed all due to the internet. So and then the one right here, this GentSense one, that's a group from Utah, and it's all people that graduated from Utah State. And so anyone can succeed if you want to. And I'll kind of go through, like, why I think anyone can succeed and all the information that's out there. But that's the beauty of the internet, is it's leveled the playing field where you don't have to be, the Johnson & Johnsons of the world or the Gillettes of the world to succeed. Like, anyone can if they have a good idea. it's a good idea in numbers. That's really what makes businesses. So anyways, I like to show that slide just because give everyone hope. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to start something, you can do it. You just got to do it the right way and be smart about it. So really quick, digital marketing is career. It's off the charts, crazy competitive right now. I mean, companies are looking to hire and hire and hire and hire. They want to know. They want you guys, people that have been in the internet, know how to work the internet, can get around fast, are smart. So they are hiring like crazy, and there's reasons for it. But just kind of some of the highlights really quick. This is just budgets. And sorry, I know it looks 2017 to 16, but all the 2018 reports will start coming out soon. So it's not as old as you think. But social media, that everyone's kind of climbing into social media right now. We all know social media has been around a long time. And just our experience at Icon, we've kind of dabbled in social media for 5 years, trying to figure out, okay, how to best use it. It's really been hard to track like an ROI on it. But I will say in the last probably 6 months, we kind of cracked the code about how to advertise on social media. And it's now, like we used to spend, it was maybe 5% of our budget. And now it's probably close to like 40% of our budget, all within like 6 months. And it has to do with, I don't know if you kept up on like the election stuff and all of the what was it, the Cambridge Analytica, that whole problem with really trying to figure out who people are, where they're at, and all that kind of stuff. Like that is really why social media works. Is the targeting that you can do there is amazing. And they have these. You guys probably know like the lookalike audience. Have you heard of that? So you can literally target your exact demographic, get a great return, and we've been able to spend a lot of money and get a good return, all because of all the data that they collect on all of us, which is, I don't really care because I just choose ads that I want to see and not something else. So it doesn't bother me, but I know it bothers a lot of people. Did you have a question?
What did you do specifically to crack the code?
So we did, I'm not in charge of the social media, but from what I understand is we did a lot of lookalike audiences, and we did a lot of, we do a lot of remarketing. So tons and tons of remarketing when someone hits our site and then, they go off on the web and you get hit with ads. We did a lot of that, but on Facebook. I know that was a lot of it. And then what we did is we built a huge like CRM campaign. So we'd get all this traffic for cheap, like 5 cents a visitor. Like it was crazy. And then we would get them to sign up on an email, and then we would collect it, and then we would retarget, and then we'd send emails, retarget, send emails. And then it was really slow, like really slow. We're like, the guy that's doing it is brilliant. He's brilliant, but he's very like, he's not like the most optimistic person in the world, and he's not like lively, crazy. He's just analytical driven. And so he's like, trust me, this is going to work. And we're like, okay, this guy is not, usually he's pessimistic, not like anything's going to work. So we're like, this is going to work somehow. So it was a Friday afternoon in October. So it might not even been 6 months. We're like, okay, we're shutting this thing off. This is not working. And he's like, just give it over the weekend. And sure enough, over the weekend came, and then on Monday we saw a huge return. And so then we just kept it going. And so really what it took was patience and just trusting his numbers. And the patience is we had to fill up the funnel, is what we call it. We filled up the funnel, we retargeted, and now like once you wait that couple week period of the testing, then it all started to come. And so you kind of just had to wait it out. And once we waited it out, and it's been ongoing since. So that's probably a really bad answer, but it was something around that. There's probably a lot more that goes into it and how he bids and all that, but that was kind of the gist of it. Some of the other things that are big right now, if you look at like content creation's huge. It's kind of with blogs, and we use our blogs and the content to get for like SEO. Like our sites aren't super big, and we only have like so many products, so it's really hard to go after what they call long tail keywords, so really long keywords. So we'll use our blog really just to go after like how to lose weight at home. Like, you can't really put that on our treadmills page, so we create a blog about it to drive traffic. So that's kind of how we use like content. I run I don't even know if it's on this part, but I do a lot of like the affiliate business. Affiliate business is really good for us. We depend on a lot of reviews and stuff like that. So a lot of our affiliates are like treadmill reviews type sites, and they do really well. And everybody, and the reason why that's good for us is, even though people might not buy online and they go buy a treadmill at Sears or wherever, they usually typically read reviews online. I think that's pretty common. I've gotten to the point where it's hard to believe all of them, but I think everyone's kind of like that too. But so you kind of just look for trends. But if we've kind of cast our net really wide, and so it's been a really big driving force for our brand and our products through the affiliate space. Again, here's like going into the next couple of years, this is where people are wanting to spend their time, and is again social media content, personalization. That's kind of what I was talking about. Once you know who your target audience is, it's really, now you just fine tune your marketing based on the audience, and social media really just allows you to do so much of that. So you might ask the question, this is kind of an obvious answer. So why are so many companies looking to hire direct marketers? And it's this slide right here. Like, I always talk about Sears, but for you guys, like, Sears probably doesn't even mean anything because you've probably never even been into one. But it used to be like a $500 million business for us, like huge business. But all the stores are closing. Retail is just dying. Everyone's going online. It's easier. The last 2 Christmases for our family, like, I don't think I've even been into a store. I kind of despise them. And so anyways, like, everything's just shifting online. And so what you've got right now is you've got a lot of manufacturers, a lot of, just normal retail channels. They're these older people, that don't really know a lot about the internet, but they know they have to get there. And so with a lot of stores closing, e-commerce going like this, there's tons and tons of jobs, and there's tons of people trying to figure out how to do it. And we've seen it grow. I mean, like I said, I've been in it probably 14 years or so, and I've seen it from the ground up. And even though I've been in it, like, I almost feel like I get passed up because I'm not into the day-to-day grind of what a lot of people do, and that's just changes so much. It's like social media. It used to be you just throw stuff online and you try to get people to comment this and that, and now you got the advertising part of it, and then you got the retargeting part of it, and then now you got to match your website, put pics. It's just always changing. And so what's happening now is going to be different next year and the following year, and so that's what makes it really fun too, is it's never changing. So, but again, just this slide is just to show you, like, e-commerce is going like this and brick and mortar is going like this, so that's why there's so many jobs. This is wild for us. It's like when we used to design websites, you always started with desktop, and then now it's like you start with your mobile, and so much is done mobile, and it's everyone. I mean, it used to be where we would spend maybe 5 to 10% for like mobile ads, and then now it's totally shifted. Again, that's another reason why social media works, because everyone's always on their phones looking at social media, and now you got to design your site. So it's being able to advertise mobile is a big deal, but more importantly, it's if you're into this digital space, understanding the design part of mobile. It's got to be super fast and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so first and foremost, like, whether you do paid search or SEO, like, you have got to, if you're ever going to start a business, if you're ever going to get into business, startup, old, new, whatever it is, you've got to do keyword research. It's amazing what it does for strategy and how to build a brand or what products to build, because keywords will tell you what the consumers are wanting, right? So paid search is super expensive. It's not the best way to advertise, but it's the tools within paid search that tell you what you need to do. And I'll show you kind of some examples of that. I've been a part of some startups. Obviously, I've been at Icon. and kind of started that, like our business there. And it was all built on keyword research. It's if you're a startup and you're like, hey, should we do this? Should we launch this company? Well, okay, what's the demand? So you'd go to, Google and figure out, like, are people searching for it? If they are searching for it, is there competitors? So it just tells you so much. So I'll show you this quick. This is just one tool and it kind of tells you, like, okay, so the word SEO, here's the volume, here's what you could expect for a cost per click. Here are your competitors, and then it kind of tells you, like, okay, here's how much you should spend or how much you will spend, or here's like right here, like backlinks to a site. So you kind of know, like, what your competition is before you even say go, right? So it used to be where you'd go ahead.
What tool is this? Is this Google?
No, this is I can't remember where I pulled this one, but there's like tons of. My next slide's Google. I think this might be like Sprout Social or something like that. I don't know. There's so many. There's all this data there's a bunch of stuff out there.
Dashboard looks like SEM Rush.
Is it SEM Rush? Yeah. So like this is the one that I use a lot, like all the time. So in Google, if you set up like a paid search campaign or Google AdWords campaign, you get access to this, and I mean, it tells you right here. I had one for our work, but they probably couldn't use it. But you have New York hotels, like there's like 33,000 searches a month, right? And then your competition's medium, your suggested bid. So are you guys familiar with how paid search works? Right, it's like a bidding model. That's where I worry about, like, I'm like, okay, is this too elementary or not? But 10 years ago, no one would have known that, but I think everyone knows that now. So anyways, keyword research is so key. And it tells you, I mean, you can run models like, hey, if I've got these 10 keywords that we go after and we get 1% of the clicks and we get a 2% conversion, like, you can kind of show a model of like what your revenue will look like based off of keywords. And then you just go hard after those keywords. I always look for like the competition. If it's medium to low competition, then go after it, especially if the volume's, 10,000 plus monthly searches a month. It's that's pretty good volume. And then again, it's, you can see long tail keywords and stuff like that you go after initially. But I mean, you would, if you were to go show this to someone 30 years ago, 20 years ago, they would have no idea, like, what their competition's doing, how much they're spending. You can really put together a really good business plan with just doing simple keyword research. In fact, funny story. So when I interviewed for my icon job, like, I came in there with a plan, saying, okay, if I were to run this department, this is how much money I think I can drive to your business based off of this data. And they were like, whoa. And this is what, 15 years ago? I mean, it wasn't as much detail as this, but I had search volume, I had cost per click, and I think I can get this kind of conversion. And then I showed them, I'm like, here's where you guys could be. And they were like, oh. And it was kind of similar to what they thought, but they didn't really know, and they didn't know how they were going to get there. And so I think really that's probably how I got my job, was just that simple report that I had done. So search engine marketing. So obviously, probably the most important thing for any business is to understand search. You have to, and here's why. 90% of all search traffic is, Google. Search engine drive 93% of all website traffic. I think that seems a little bit high, especially now with social media. I don't really buy that, but about half of all searches are 4 or more words. So this is important. Whenever you get into a business, like everyone, like for Icon, for example, is like, they wanted you to make sure you rank for the term treadmills and ellipticals, and those are the kind of when you go look at the search volume is like 50,000 a month. So that's what I started. I'm like, okay, we're going to do treadmills and we're going to do ellipticals, and we got good rankings there, and we got a lot of traffic, and that is awesome. You got to do that. But the long tail searches get you conversions, and that ultimately is what drives revenue. And they are typically the easiest to get. And so they're not this nice, hey, look, I can get 10,000 or 20,000 visits a month. It's like I can get 500, right? Or 200, and it's not a lot, but if they convert at 70%, then you can kind of see why you need them. And so that's a huge deal, and you put all of them together, and they still end up half your searches. So it's so key, and it's so overlooked, but that's something that I would definitely look at, especially when you're starting.
So for ellipticals, how many keywords are you using?
Oh my gosh, tons. Like I would say we're, I don't know, a lot. I mean, we have over 20,000 keywords, but we only have like 4 categories. So it's everything under the sun, right? Ellipticals at home, ellipticals misspelled. Yeah, I mean, there's so much branded terms, non-brand. You know, there's a lot of it. You know, how to lose weight, exercises on ellipticals. You know, so on our paid search, we have a guy that runs paid search, and he's amazing. Like literally amazing. I mean, I'm saying high level stuff. So I don't really do paid search daily, but the guy that does it he's unbelievable. And again, we've been able to spend a lot on our paid search program purely because we do so much more retargeting now. So retargeting is something we didn't stumble upon it, but it really got to be a big part of our business probably 2 or 3 years ago. And that's been very successful for us. And then add that in, we invested in a huge like CRM. Do you guys know what CRM is? So just like customer relationship management. It's basically our email program. We invested in a lot of technology probably 5 years ago, and they were not going to give it to us. It was a lot of money, and we promised a return of, you know, millions and millions of dollars of return, and they gave it to us, and it took us like 2 years to get the return, but now it's allowing us to do so much more. 82% of searches will use their phone to help them make a decision about an in-store purchase. Again, that's you start a business like ours. Like we had all these great relationships with retailers, and they're like, "Well, we don't want you." They didn't want us to go direct because they thought it would hurt their business, which it probably did. But we would tell them all the time, like, "Look, you need to, people want to do research when they're in the stores, and that's still the case. They want to price compare, or they want to read the reviews, and they'll buy." So a lot of searches are done there, and then again, that's why we do so much with reviewers. 50% of people are more likely to click on a particular brand if the brand name shows up more than once in the search results. So a common question that we get asked all the time is, say we rank 1 or 2 for the term treadmills in organic or in SEO, or sorry, the organic natural results. They're like, why buy paid search at number 1? And it goes to this: if your name can show up, 1, it gets rid of competition, and 2, you own it and you get more clicks. So sometimes when we have to cut our budget a little bit, like we'll take out like the most expensive broad search keywords if we have a good natural ranking. So, but it's good to have both. That's kind of, obviously Google gets a lot of searches a day. We all know that. The difference between, so the biggest challenge in SEO in the last year is, I don't know if you guys notice, when you go to Google, you'll see so much more paid ads, whether it's image ads or, so it's kind of shifted all of the natural search down a little bit. And what do you guys typically click on? Do you click on natural or paid? You're all natural, right? Have you noticed how you have to scroll a lot more? It sucks, right? I hate it as a marketer. It's like, my gosh, it just keeps pushing us down. So our organic traffic is not nearly, it's still really good, but it's taken a dip, and it's basically because it's pushed it down. And so to be able to be in the top 3 is huge. Like the difference between 3 and 4 is almost like, 4 is almost like non-existent. And once you get to 3, it's like, okay, we're making a dent. So it's a huge deal. And like it's like here, in 2000, the number 1 search result was clicked on 28% of the time. This number has dropped to 23.5. It's because of that. And you go to 2nd and 3rd, and it keeps going down a little bit. I think 2nd and 3rd are still pretty good, but once you hit 4, it's, you know, you don't get a whole lot. SEO has 14.6 conversion rate compared to 1.7% for traditional outbound methods such as cold calling or direct. This is kind of obvious. Like SEO is so good because it's so natural, and it's so, when people click on it, they usually get what they're searching for. Unlike paid, which I don't know why you would spend money on paid to get people to click on your ad. That's not the same, because it's just a big waste of money, but people do it. based on the numbers, organic SEO is about 5.6 times better than paid search ads, like I just said. I think paid search is really good for new companies, though. Like the startups that I've been a part of, we'll test paid search just to get a feel for kind of what keywords we should go after, what people will click on, and then we turn them off because they're so expensive. But I think paid search is really good for startups. It's hard to get SEO right off the bat, so it gives you a good idea. I'd just be super careful with how you'd do paid search. I would start with long tail keywords first and then go to the broad ones. Everyone wants to get traffic, but traffic's kind of pointless if it doesn't convert, so you might as well start with the converting keywords. So I might just skip these. Like, do you guys know what this stuff means? Right? Okay, this is where I get worried. Like, I don't know who exactly I'm talking to, so if this is stuff that you guys understand, I'm fine with. What I was going to kind of talk about, like, you obviously know all this stuff. And this, like, long ago, like, this never existed. This is, like, out of control, like crazy. It's like, I don't know what Google's doing, but, I mean, there's what, 9 ads there, 4 there, and, like, then you got, this is what everyone wants to click on. So it's like, they're obviously all about trying to make money, but this is still super important. And so, I like to show that because at least shows us number 1 for ellipticals, so that's a good deal for us. It changes a lot, so whenever I see it, I hurry and click it so I can prove to people we have good rankings, but sometimes it'll go to 3 or 4, so. What's that? NordicTrac's number 1? There you go. For ellipticals, where are we at on treadmills? Oh, you're putting me to the test, huh? I bet you we're 3 or 4. And for paid search or for SEO? Or is organic? I don't care. Peloton's going crazy. Peloton's spinning like crazy right now. They're organic.
But right below the
Right, the full, yeah. See,
the math stuff.
all right. See, we need to get that up. So, anyways, this is this. Just really quick. So, I don't know how. I mean, some of you might know SEO, but really the most important thing, like, technical for SEO is the title tag. So when a spider, like how you get ranked is like the spider and the bots from Google will spider crawl your site. They start with your URL. Well, first off, they start with a whole bunch of external links coming to your site. And those external links got to be from, obviously, pages that are similar to your brand. They can't just be, it used to be, this is how it used to work, like long, long ago. You'd go to like article directories and you would go to all these spammy sites and just tons and tons of links. In fact, how I built the SEO program was I first got to Icon, and what I would do is I'm like, okay, we're gonna send press releases. So we'd write press releases and put a bunch of links in the press releases, like 4 or 5 links in a press release, send it out, and then we'd get like tons and tons of publishers to publish these that had built-in links. And so we shot up. That's like literally how, I mean, when I first got to Icon, we were on like the 8th page, and we just started press releases. And so we went from no external links to within a month, like thousands of external links because of press releases. And they were like $100 to send out a release. It worked great. And then Google gets smart, and then they say you can't do that anymore, and then you got to go find another way. So it's changed. Every year it changes with Google, and then they always have updates, and you got to figure out something new. But the most common, what will never go away from Google, and I believe in this wholeheartedly, is if you get good links, good natural links from quality sites that is talking about your brand, those will never go away. What they have gotten smart with is how you link to them. So sometimes, it used to be like, if you wanted to rank for treadmills, you just had to link the term treadmills to your site. But now they look at the copy around the link. So say I'm linking treadmills for sale or used treadmill or whatever it is. They look at the copy around it. Does it talk about exercise? Does it talk about losing weight? If it does, then it still will give you good kind of juice, right? And so they're pretty good at that. So it's not as important to always link to term treadmill or whatever term that you want to rank for. You don't necessarily have to have that in your link. It can be something else. So anyways, those links will drive, basically say Google, it'll tell Google like, hey, look, this site talks about treadmills, or it talks about losing weight, or it talks about all of these things. Google sends a crawler to your site, goes to your URL first. So obviously in your URLs, you want to have keywords that are, obviously, that's where you put broad terms, is in your URL. So for us, it's treadmills and ellipticals and so on and so forth. And then your title tag should be the same thing. Elliptical machines, we kind of killed two birds with one stone with this one, because you get ellipticals plus elliptical machines. And then it's always important to include your brand so they can kind of tie the two together. So it will crawl that, and then it will go right to your, kind of crawl through this, and it will go right to your description. Now, it used to be where everyone would kind of, like right here, everyone would stuff keywords, and then Google would just look at that. Like, this has no bearing on how much you rank, right? It doesn't really do anything, but we use this for like sales, right? So when you go back to this section right here, it used to be really junky, but marketers have gotten smart, and so they'll put in kind of like marketing copy for their meta description. So even though it has no bearing on really ranking anymore, it's kind of used for like a marketing tool within your search result. Do you guys, yeah. I feel threatened by you a little bit. You probably know way more than me do. I should have you do this part. Anyway, so you come in here. The other huge one is like your H1 tag. So every site should have like a header. Like, so Google, and this is still true today, you only want to have one or two H1 ones on your site, and then you want to go H2, H3, H4 down the road. But definitely Google's looking for that, and it should match. So ellipticals should be in your title, should be in your URL, and kind of go on. It should kind of just match up. Don't have one thing in your URL and then their header be something different, and it kind of confuses Google. So just try to be the same. And then just kind of a rule of thumb is I feel like every page you should go after like 4 keywords. Like this page, when you design a site, your site should obviously think about conversion, think about what you're going to put on it, but every page you should say, okay, I'm going to rank for these 4 keywords, and how am I going to rank for them? What copy am I going to use? What pictures am I going to use? All that kind of stuff. But if you try to do much more than 4, then you won't get anything. And then again, that's why we have blogs and other things like that. So, so Google will crawl your site. Then your on-page criteria is huge, right? And so it used to be like Google can't crawl an image. Like they can crawl an alt tag on an image, but they can't crawl, like they don't know anything if you just load your site with a bunch of images. So we place text on top of our images, and this is kind of elementary too, but if Google can read it, if you can highlight your copy and then paste it on another page, like that can be read. So that's kind of a test that we always do. And it's good. This is kind of a newer site, and this is kind of, it launched bad, like bad timing, not a very good site. We had people design it that were all about looks and not about functionality, not about SEO, and so it's kind of changed a lot. But the most important thing is you want copy that's searchable high up on your page, not always on the bottom. So usually the trade-off between SEO guys and designers are like, well, just put your copy at the bottom because it looks really ugly. So we'll make all the cool pictures up to the top. Well, Google's got to get to the bottom to read it. And if you make a lot of roadblocks, it might not get to the bottom. So get your most important content up front, preferably in the top left, but we've done a bad job doing that here. This is our H1, and then these down here are H2s. Anyways, pretty basic site. Could be better, but you want content on it. Get as much content on your site as you can. So that's kind of on-page stuff. So really, really key, and this is another reason why I love digital marketing, and that is like there's so much data out there that tells you what you should and shouldn't do. Like you should never make a decision that's not data-driven. And so like if you're struggling with your rankings, like, hey, so do we have the content? Yeah, we have the content. It's like, well, do you have the external links? So Google's got Google Webmaster Tools or the Search Console, which comes with every AdWords, will tell you where you're getting your links from. So we've got 81 external links, 38 tool sites. So you kind of know, and this is a good thing too, is like if you see like you have a competitor or someone like outranking you, it's like you can figure out like, hey, do they have more backlinks to us? Do they have more content? Like what are they doing? How are they driving it? You can kind of figure it out through kind of looking in the Google Search Console. So I have a guy that does a lot of our technical SEO. He's in this console like all the time, trying to figure things out. And so, because you'll be humming along, and the next thing you know, you've dropped a couple, and you can't figure out why. So you got to always be building these. You got to get new ones. You got to change your content. Anyways, this is just kind of an example of it. Are you guys familiar? Are you familiar with this? Yeah. Okay. See, anyone else been in the Google Search Console? All right. It's super important. This isn't really to tell you how to do it, just to say, like, if you're going to get involved, like, get in there. How am I doing, by the way? Am I hitting it right? Am I missing anything? Okay, paid search. Obviously, you guys know auction-based bidding. This is another reason why it levels the playing field. Anyone can play in there if you want to. You got to have kind of deep pockets if you want to play with some of them. If you don't have deep pockets, look for the long tail keywords, right? So biggest thing, though, with paid search, and we'll talk about quality score, click-through rates, research. We've kind of talked about that. But the biggest thing with paid search, and I show this because I actually don't think this is a great example. If you do a lot of homework about paid search, it's not always the best to be number one. Sometimes it's the best to be number 2, 3, or 4. And the reason for that, oftentimes people will just go to a search and they'll just click on the first one without really reading it. The goal of paid search is not to drive traffic. The goal of paid search should absolutely be to convert a lead, to get a lead or conversion. Whatever your goal is for your site, that's what you want paid search. You don't want paid search to drive you a bunch of traffic, because all it do is just cost you a lot of money. Like our guys is, hey, go increase traffic. Like we can easily go buy all the keywords out there that we ever wanted and drive a bunch of traffic, but if that traffic doesn't mean anything, then you're just wasting your money. So make sure when you do paid search, you have a goal in mind and you make sure you hit those goals and do anything that you can. It makes no sense. It kills me when people have sales on paid search, then they click through on the ad and then the sale's not there. Like it serves no purpose. And so just kind of how we do it. We always kind of show, we always have sense of urgency. So like our sites, we have sales all the time that we say they're ending, but at the end of the day, they're probably really not ending. The new one will start tomorrow, right? But you got to understand your sales cycle. Like how long are people on your sites? Do they look at them for a month? Do they look at them for a week? Do they look at them for a day? So you kind of got to figure that part out, right? And then that's how you kind of base your sales. So we kind of know like how long people are on our sites researching. And so we really try to strike sense of urgency. We get in a little bit of trouble with execs because they like these branded nice sites. They call us used car salesmen at times because we like, if we could do it, we'd have balloons and sell tags and all sorts of crazy stuff. So we've kind of met in the middle, but we always try to have a sale with some kind of urgency and an end date. So as you can see here, that's what we're doing. Quality score is huge. So basically, all quality score is does those keywords in your ad match where they're landing? Is really kind of how I would put that. So if you're going to sell an elliptical and it's on sale, then your landing page should say the same thing. Basic stuff, but the quality score is huge. So how I explain it, if you have good quality score, then your CPC is lower. So if I want to say the bid to get number 1 is $5, right? For everyone out there, it's $5. But if your quality score is better than everyone else, you might be able to spend $4. Does that make sense? So that's kind of how I would look at quality. Like, be dead on with what you're saying and how they're landing. Your quality score will go up, and then ultimately your costs will go down.
Does it have anything to do with how much time they spend on that page?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So time on page, click-through rates, exit rates, bounce rate, like all that kind of stuff factors into your quality score. I would say the most important thing is click-through rate's huge, and then what they're landing on, and then the exit rate's a big deal. They kind of put this in because you used to get a lot of people just kind of piggybacking off of companies, right? So if someone had a really good product, all the companies would go out there and piggyback and buy that keyword, but yet it really wasn't doing anything to the end consumer because they were going to the wrong spot. And so Google said, okay, no, not everyone can come in here and buy this keyword. We're going to benefit the brands that are actually selling it. And so that's kind of where this originated from. And it's kind of weeded out it a little bit. And if you think about Google, the reason why Google is so smart is, and why they changed their algorithm, their whole goal is to make sure that when people go to Google, they're giving the customer what they want. What's that? Oh crap, I better hurry. I gotta get going here. Okay, quality scores here. Here's just why I love direct marketing, because of the numbers. The numbers will make it so where you should never make a wrong decision, because the numbers tell you what to do. Make sure in every company that you have that you know the key performance indicators, right? So know what helps your business. Is it natural search? Is it paid search? Is it social media? Okay, within those mediums, what are the most important? Is this just to drive traffic? Is this to drive conversions? Like, every medium should have a different goal. And so every medium should have a different indicator. So how we kind of do this at work, every morning when we get in, we have a big, huge plan. And our plan says, okay, sales need to be this. This is what was last year. This is how much we spend. This was our ROI, and then we march it down the page every day. And when we have a really good day, we don't just put our feet up and say we're good. We figure out, okay, why did we have a good day? What channel brought in the revenue? What channel was the cheapest? Okay, so if this is a cheap channel that brought in a bunch of revenue, can we increase the spend? Because we're a 100% variable business. We don't really necessarily have a budget. We start with a budget, but if our revenues are going like this, they take spend. And then we know like when our ROI hits X amount that we should probably stop. So if it's 5, then okay, no more spend. But if it's 7 or 8, it's like keep spending. And that's kind of what's happening with social media, is we've just spending like crazy. But it's all because of good numbers and numbers that drive the business. So that's the presentation. Totally love the internet. I think it's so fun. It's always changing. It's something where it's the future. We all know that. Icon's a fun. The great thing about Icon, if you're ever looking for work, is they pay like a New York company sometimes. And living in a small valley with a big company that does everything you could possibly imagine in the internet, they do it there. It's not just a bunch of guys building treadmills. So it's a fun company to work for. I absolutely love it. And I didn't come up here to give you a sales pitch. But it's just, digital marketing is fun. And if you're a competitive person, like numbers, I view it as a game. And you know the score. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you're winning at half and you got to make a change, but it's always there. The numbers are there. It's just a matter of trying to figure out the result. So anyways, thanks for letting me come. Enjoy.